have disappointed and shut the fuck up. No one cares. Who are you? You're not my dad. He's the only person I care about disappointing. Who are you? I don't even know your first name.
It's true. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, the show dedicated to talking about all the bonkers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I am one of your co-hosts, Top V.
And you keep my name out your motherfucking mouth.
Put some respect on Top V.
Now you got to put a bleep in the first fucking 30 seconds. Oh, two of them now. Whoops. Uh-oh. You know, my supermarket sim market is Top V's market.
Yes, dude. Yes, dude. So tell me about Supermarket Sim. I saw you. I saw you playing it, and then the next day I saw you tweet something along the lines of, "I haven't been this excited to play a video game in a long time." And I was like, "Oh, I wonder what he found after Supermarket Sim." But it was just more Supermarket
Sim. Yeah, and my title for that day was, "I got a new job." You know, because I'm working at a supermarket.
Yeah.
And of course, so many people came in like, "Yo, dude, congrats on the new job." And I'm like, "Thanks." Like, you're looking at it though.
Yeah. So what's the draw to Supermarket Sim?
I mean, it's just got like the first of all, it's got mod support, like right out the gate. It's early access, so like
it's early access. It's not out yet.
Yeah, no, it's early access. So I've already got like 7,000 mods out the gate. And it's just got like the never-ending dopamine. You know, when you start, you have like one shelf, like bread, peanut butter, and like, you know, apples or whatever, right? And you're like stock the shelf, and then someone walks in, and you're like, oh shit, bring! You got to go over to like the checkout counter, and you have to like click on the items as if you're like scanning them, and then oh my god, fuck off with the group text. I can't turn it off. And then like they either pay cash, in which case you have to like choose the right change. So it's just like the, you know, 25 1 25 cents 5 cents. Like I just like that just makes my brain happy. Or the credit card. If it's credit card, you just type the number in and then hit enter, and then they're like, boop, they leave, and then you make your profit, and then you expand your little rectangular store piece by piece, and then you hire two kinds of employees, stalkers or like restockers and cashiers.
Okay.
So then like, but for a while you're like stocking the shelves, everybody's buying the shit. There's people at the cash register, so you're just running back and forth, like doing everything. And then you can only buy stuff up until like 9 p.m., which is like when your store basically closes. So now when you order stuff from like the market, it just like falls from the sky, like outside of the front of your. So you just like run out, grab the box, open the box up, and you got to put everything individually on the shelf. It's very dopamine.
Is this like is this like, who developed this? It wouldn't surprise me if like McDonald's like developed it as a way to like,
it's a black ops.
Yeah, it's a black op to train people to get excited about working like the most basic like 16-year-old grocery shopping job. I get it from, like you said, the pure dopamine of like everything has a place, and it's just like the management of everything. Like, oh, I'm making more money, I got to spend it on more stuff. Now I got more stuff. Oh, I'm making more money, I got to spend it on more stuff. Now I've got more stuff, I'm making even more money. It's like that classic. It's like Roller Coaster Tycoon, you know what I mean? All those types of games where you're like managing this thing and trying to get it bigger and bigger. And those games are famous for a reason, right? It's fun to do that, to get more money, to get more stuff, to get more money, to get more stuff. Like, yeah. So there's a bunch of like quality of life mods that make the game. It's like kind of unplayable to some extent. It's like almost unplayable without these mods. Like now that I've used these mods, there's no way I would like ever go back. Yeah.
Because so you have a limit of, you can only buy 10 items at a time.
Okay.
So if you're selling like 100 different items,
Yeah.
there's a computer at the front of your store, which is where like you do your orders.
Okay.
You have to remember like, okay, it's like the red brand of bread, the blue wheat,
Ah.
the red pasta, and you run to the thing and you're like, fuck, what did I need again?
Yeah.
Oh, and like people need to be checked out, and it's like,
Yeah.
and then of course like you're running out of time. You want to buy stuff at the end of the night. Now that it's like cool down, it's like I want to buy stuff at the end of the night when I don't have fucking customers.
Yeah.
Now granted, you could do it in the morning
Mhm.
because you start the day and it just sits there at like 8 a.m. until you open the store. So I guess you can do it in the morning.
Interesting.
But it just kind of kills the flow.
Yeah.
So a few examples of some mods is there's one that's PC anywhere. So you just hit tab and it's like, it's almost like it just opens up the PC interface anywhere. There's another one where you right click on the labels on the shelves and it's like blip, blip, like as if you're scanning it to put that in your cart. Now one
It's
really
like modernizing
annoying
it, right? You would be walking around with an iPad doing this these days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But these are mods, you know, so it's like I feel like they need to be in the game. Then the market's open all day and there's no limit on the cart. So it just makes it so that it's like it's so much easier. But and a couple of the mods were like conflicted with each other and made it kind of game breaking, which is a little bit frustrating. One of them being, so if you have like, let's say you have like 3 things of bread, like 3 bags of bread on the shelf, and you want to like, let's say you added a new row and you're like, because at the beginning it's like everything goes on one shelf, and then it's like you have a shelf, an A shelf and a B shelf, and then eventually it's like you have a dairy aisle and a fucking frozen food aisle, you know. But you can't just pick the bread up off the shelf. You need to have an open box with that's empty to put in, but there's different size boxes. So you need to have the right size box. But if you have restockers, the restockers will, if you put a box on the floor, they'll just go pick up the box and throw it out. So it's like they're constantly getting in the way and fucking you over. There's one thing where it's like, I wanted to get rid of a whole fridge, and I'm like, okay, this is the milk fridge, but I want to make it like the Pepsi fridge. Yeah. I'm taking out like the first 4 of the 5 like rows of milk. Yeah. And then it's like I don't have a box. I need to like buy a box of milk so that I can like empty it over here and then do it here. By the time I come back, a restocker has restocked all the milk. I'm like, fuck, come on. Like, so it's just like this weird cycle of like, oh my God, like I'm fighting against the game.
That's so funny. I need to be tuning into these streams. It's hilarious and almost, more realistic that the people you working with are messing with your stuff and driving you crazy. Bro, that's amazing. What's like the end game? Like, do you beat it or can you just like be Walmart one day?
I don't even know. Like I've unlocked like, so what you do is you basically get licenses for food. So it's like you have the license to be able to sell like these eggs and these like these 5 eggs and dairy products. And then it's like you gotta play for a bunch more hours to then get another license to unlock like 5 more items. I've probably unlocked like 50 items, and there's like, it looks like there's another like 50, like 200, 300, 400 items to get all the way up until like, you're getting beer and you're selling kids books and like all this stuff. And right now it's just like, I'm just selling like pasta and like, I just got into like frozen pizza and like frozen food. I accidentally spent all my money on a freezer thinking that like a bunch of shit I had to go in a freezer, but it has to go in a fridge. So it's like,
that's hilarious.
So I think you can have like a straight up, like maybe not Walmart, but like Costco.
Damn. Yeah.
Just like 100 rows. With,
tons of stuff.
The downside, the biggest downside I think mods will solve is going to be like, it's not very efficient how things are placed on shelves. So it's like you have a shelf, one full shelf, like a double shelf and you can put like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 big containers of like paper towels or like toilet paper, you know, like the big box things. And that's like one person. So it's like bloop, 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 and 2 shelves are empty after 4 seconds. So it's like I have a massive store, not even massive. It's like a decent size. It's like, you know, 2 7-Elevens. Basically. And it's like at the end of a day, all the shelves are empty and the entire stock room, because you have like a storage room where you have like, that's all empty. And it's like, so then all the money you made, you spend refilling your stock room, start the day up. They start putting the stuff on the shelves. Customers come in. It's like, you just always feel like a little behind.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I stopped playing because the new Diablo season came out and it's actually really good. But for the most part, it just ended up feeling like no matter what, every day it's like I made $3,000 at the end of the day. I just kind of hit like a ceiling.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Where it's like I can't make any more profit than this, and to get the next license is like $20,000.
Yeah, you need it to scale with you because the things are getting more expensive, so you need to be making more profit.
Yeah, and in order to, so if I get a license, that'll give me like 10 more or 5 more items that I can buy, but I need shelves. But in order to add more shelves, I need more space. So it's like I got to save 20 grand for a 1 rectangle of space. So that's
then
like
the license.
4 days to expand, then to buy the shelf, then to buy the license, then to put everything in there. But then you realize the things you bought, there were like 2 kinds of eggs, 1 thing of bread, and a thing of coffee. And it's like my shelves are like stocked to assume that I have 3 things of coffee. Well, now there's 4. So now it's like I got to move half of the shit from here over to here. I'm sure I'd do better on my second store. You know, you have all like the planning in mind.
Of course.
But yeah.
That's
anyway, so
hilarious. I love it. I love the like arc of Veritas playing lawn mow sim, power wash sim, supermarket sim. This is great.
Getting paid less than minimum wage to work jobs
virtually.
To work jobs virtually, where I'd make far more money if I was just working.
Oh my god, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, all I want to do is talk about Delta Force, but before we do, there's no universe you didn't hear what happened in Tarkov.
What do you mean? Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
Dude. I was playing, and dude, my chat just erupted. Just flick of a switch, chat just erupted. Tarkov just wiped. And I'm like, nice try. You know what I mean? In my head, I'm like, I don't know how you guys all coordinated that, but nice try. And then everybody was like, no, dude, Tarkov's wiped. I'm staring at the character creator right now. And so all I did was I opened my launcher and I didn't get an update. And I just closed it. I was like, this isn't the wipe. I was like, that's not how this works. Like, they can't add new content to the game without wiping it. And they're not going to wipe at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. You know what I mean? Without the patch. And so I was like, something's wrong. And I literally just, I just knew. I immediately was like, stop launching your game. Like, don't launch your game.
Do you think it was it caused it all by, it wasn't caused by launching, it was server side, right?
Yeah, but only the people that were in the game were affected.
Oh.
Only the people that were playing.
So like if I booted up the game now, ostensibly wouldn't be reset?
You wouldn't be reset. Yeah. So I was like,
get cut.
I know. And I didn't even know that at the time. I just assumed. I was like, stop opening the game. Don't launch Tarkov. I was like, guys, this isn't a wipe. And people, it's so funny. People were like, this is it. This is the wipe, dude. And I was like, no, it's not. And then it took too long for them to tweet, but they did end up tweeting. Let me read you. I don't know. You maybe saw it, but let me read the tweet.
I did not.
As a result of a technical malfunction, there was a loss of part of the game's profile data. It is not possible to restore profiles in a short period of time. All players whose profiles have been affected will receive proportional in-game compensation in a short period of time. Achievements and in-game stats were not lost. So like,
who tweeted this and when?
at Tarkov yesterday.
Oh, Tarkov.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, Battlestate Games did.
Mm-hmm. So
what is the appropriate? What's like 5 months worth of your time worth in in-game currency?
No.
I'd say that's worth a free fucking PvE edition.
Dude, everybody should have got Unheard Edition upgrades. You know what I mean? Yeah, so they tweet that. And then the next day, like 12 hours later or something like that, they way sooner than I thought. August 7th, 5:02. A few hours later, actually, which is crazy. The compensation got sent out. As I understand it, here's what happened. Nobody's account got restored. None of them. If you lost it, you lost it. But what they did was, what the compensation was they made you level 42. They unlocked all the trader stuff, gave you max traders. They gave you 40 million rubles and every labs key card, a couple of dorms.
40 million? That's it?
Yeah.
That's not a lot.
It's not a lot when you consider not many people have 40 million cash, but
cases
junk boxes, items cases, all the armors, all the helmets, ammo. Think about the ammo.
Hideout?
The ammo that you can't, the ammo that you have to craft. You know what I mean? Time. So I actually kind of thought 40 million was low too. I thought they should have just given an even 100. Anyways.
Yeah, did the CrowdStrike guy get fucking fired from his job and get
hired by
Battlestate?
BSG? Yeah. So now, and then a lot of IT people were tweeting, I can't believe they don't do this with their backend infrastructure. I don't know, right? I'm not an IT guy, and so I'm not yeah, this dude tweeted this. I can't believe BSG sucks. But it does seem at least a little surprising that there aren't backups, that they couldn't roll back the game an hour or 2 hours or 24 hours. You know what I mean? Is that not a thing, or you're saying you would be surprised if BSG did it that way?
Yeah, I would be surprised.
Okay. So that could be a thing. Maybe arguably should be a thing.
Yeah, but if it's not a thing now, if it wasn't a thing 3 years ago, it wouldn't be a thing now.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be a thing they add.
I guess
now.
what I'm saying is that I lost it. It could have been a thing they had done in the past to prevent these things from happening, but they didn't. So it's not unreasonable to question, hey, couldn't you just roll it back? But the answer is, we're BSG. No.
Didn't people lose their Kappa containers due to bugs, and they couldn't, and they
yeah.
And that's you could just manually send it, and they weren't even willing to
that was
do that.
Yeah, that was almost worse. That was different because they could have just sent him one, and they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, unless they have a.
I mean, maybe that's harder than
Redis cache or something.
Yeah,
and they could have panicked.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe that's harder than
back, but
I think it is. I'm not whatever. I just think it's hilarious. I mean, just I thought I'd seen everything, bro. So everybody's stashes got wiped that was playing, and then they shut the game down. You just couldn't launch because people that were launching to freshly wiped characters. And then they sent out the compensation, and that was it. So,
the next bug they're going to have is it's going to fry people's hard drives or GPUs IRL.
Yeah.
And they're going to give you 3 million IRL. I mean, 3 million fucking in-game
rubles. Yeah. The price of an in-game's graphics card, 160,000 rubles. So I just yes, you know what I mean? A lot of people were obviously, maulding. And then there were a lot of people that were dude, stop being so weird. It's late wipe. I just think it's hilarious that it happened. And it's this means it could happen early wipe or it could happen mid wipe. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about it. I'm sure that they're locking it down, and mistakes happen. And this is the best time for it to have happened, right? We're probably 7 to 10 days away from the wipe. Who cares? It's not that big of a deal. There were some funny things though. Like I saw, not funny to me, but not funny. I saw somebody was in interchange trying to get their like last kill for the achievement for killing 100, and it wiped.
I think I saw that.
And so it
They were
like
98.
yeah, it doesn't wipe achievements, but it wiped your progress towards achievements. So he spent all wipe grinding Killa, and it's GG's. He can do it next wipe. So there were a few things like that.
Bro, I bet you they were like testing a script or something and accidentally like ran it on production. Because like a lot of times if you have a script to do some migration or to, I don't know, any number of things, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times there's like a variable that you have in there, some kind of environment variable, a parameter that's like, what's your environment, right?
Yeah.
And the fucking env was probably prod instead of, dev test or whatever.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking too. I was like, something that was supposed to be private went public, and they said someone hit the button, and it was bad. But once again, it's not that big of a deal. I bring it up not because I'm like, oh shit on BSG. It's funny. Like, it's funny, man. If it had happened to me, it would still be funny. Get wrecked. I didn't have the game open. I was playing Delta Force, and so I launched it. I didn't even launch it until today. I launched it and I still had all my stuff. I was like, get wrecked.
They should just give everybody all like max traders, give them everybody like 100 million rubles, or like make it so that like the traders are everything's a ruble for the last week, and just make it an event.
Yeah, I mean, we're close to that anyway. That's the thing. That 40 million works because even if that was less, you probably can't spend 40 million between now and the wipe. Like it's probably that close that the dollar amount, the ruble amount doesn't matter. Also, somebody brought up a good point. They gave them all like level 45 skills. So like they probably have much better characters than they did before, honestly, because I still have level 45 skills and a lot of people. But
so it's not the end.
It's not the end of the world. Once again, it's just funny. It's just you think it's just now. You know what I mean? Their reputation is in such a funny spot because of the unheard stuff, and this is like a really long wipe and all this stuff. And I just imagine what it was like over there. Like the freaking phones were ringing off the hook. It was like I messed up. So that was the only Tarkov news. We haven't gotten an additional event. Oh wait, actually, we did get another event. We'll blow through this super quickly because it was whatever. But I forgot there was actually another event. There was the free labs, but then they did an event where a new in-game event, Supply and Demand, has started. Players can access a new mechanic quest, and after the completion of the quest, players will be able to basically it was an event quest that went through, and then what it was the last quest was one of those ones that it's just open until it's closed, and it's like counting, and it was just like kill as many PMCs as you can. As long as you killed one, you completed the quest, but it was like tracking how many you killed. And it was like the guns that kill the most PMCs will add as barters next wipe. So it was like use weird stuff, and it was a way they tried to do this event that like had an effect on the next wipe. But it was just funny because the three guns that got used were the M4, the MDR, and the MCX, which I found to be really interesting. And so, which we already have MDR and M4 barters, you know what I mean? So it was kind of expected that it wasn't going to change. I forgot, damn it, is anybody in the chat? What were the quests? I feel like when it was happening, I was like, dude, this quest is so funny. I'm excited to tell Veritas about it. But now I can't remember because Delta Force wiped my memory and I don't care about any of that stuff anymore. But I felt like there were some quests. Anyways, interesting stuff. But that was whatever. And then the only other thing to note is they haven't done this in maybe 2 years. But today they announced that they're doing summer drops.
Interesting.
Yeah. So like they do it every year in the January. Way back in the day, they did it for both wipes. They would do it in July and they would do it in December, and they would do it in July and they would do it in December. And then they stopped doing that. The past, like, I think 1 or 2 years, they didn't do it. And now they're doing it. So they just announced that. Maybe, some conspiracy theories. It's like Arena Breakout announced that they're launching on the 13th. Delta Force is in its alpha. So the tinfoil hat is like they're sucking the viewers back. And this would be an effective way to do that, right? Like, people are going to show up for Twitch drops. If there's one thing we know about the Tarkov community, they're going to show up for Twitch drops. So we don't have any information about that because we still don't know when the wipe is. We don't know when the drops are. Pre-wipe hasn't even really started. So I'm not like freaking out too much, but yeah, it's interesting.
Okay. So wait a minute. So the supply and demand. So was the idea was that the builds would be available at mechanic, that the builds that were used the most.
Yeah, but I don't
like
exactly. Yes to your question.
First of all,
yep.
Now I'm out of touch. Okay, but even just looking at that M4's flashlight, doesn't everybody have like a laser flashlight?
Yes. I can tell you that picture is no one's ever used that M4 build.
Yeah, like here's the deal.
Or that MDR build, by the way.
Yeah, no, if anything, what they did was like base it on how many like purchases of guns or something from traders, like the base guns, because I'd be very surprised if they were tracking.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Can you buy those? Are those builds purchasable already?
Those, not right now. I don't know if that was just like a picture for marketing purposes or if that picture was like, these are the builds that are coming.
Yeah, because did they have an explanation for what it is? I'm just thinking of the technical, the technical challenge of, let's say I was still in software, right? My boss came to me and said, we want to make it so that like the most popular builds, like we track which ones they are. And what you have to realize is every gun is effectively just a tree of objects. You have a receiver, and then from there it branches off.
Yeah.
And you have, I mean, millions of permutations.
Millions.
When you have this guard with this rail type in this position, I'm like, would you want to track the position? Would you want to just track? I mean, maybe it could just be a list of IDs and you exclude rails. Like, there's a million ways you can do it. So maybe it's gun, grip, magazine, optic, but you don't count the optic mount. You don't count like the buffer tube. You don't count like what attachment it is.
I can tell you once again, those pictures are not representative. Nobody uses that rail. Nobody uses
no one's ever used that MDR. There's no chance.
That MDR? No. I mean,
sorry, not MDR, MCX.
Nobody uses that MCX. There is one, and the MCX is one of the only guns that even after the recoil thing, there's like one build for an MCX. You don't, it's like the old HK. There was one way to build it. It was long, suppressed, like the MCX. So the MDR is interesting because like that MDR isn't that crazy of a build, but nobody spends the money to put the tan grip, not foregrip, but the actual plastic piece. Yeah, replace the black one with the tan. Like, nobody does that. That suppressor on the M4 is not meta. Nobody uses that. That flashlight is actually becoming pretty meta. So
I mean, they look
sick.
Cool.
Yeah, 100%. And these builds actually wouldn't be that bad. Like, these builds as barters, you would probably have to suppress the MCX. So I'm not even saying I'm mad. These builds look sick, but it was just interesting because there's just no way these were the builds.
Yeah, they have to be cheaper too. Like if you're gonna do a pre-built, it needs to be on sale.
Yes,
it needs to be where, imagine if every item was 60%, 70%, like 20-30% off.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's like, then I'll just build it my way.
Yeah.
If it's going to be the same amount of money, because some people like building guns, it just seems weird.
For sure.
It was the same thing with the barters, right? It's like the barters should be cheaper than if you sell. Like, you shouldn't be able to sell the items on the flea market and then get like significantly more money.
Yeah. Yes. So it was interesting. Oh, and I found the quests. One was just like a gunsmith. Basically, it was just like turn an M4 with these specifications. The second one I thought was a cool quest, and it was eliminate between 5 and 10 targets with 6 different caliber weapons. So it was like 10 targets with 5.56, 10 targets with 5.45, 10 with 7.62, 5 with 7.62 by 54R, 5 with 9 by 19, and 5 with 9 by 39. And so it was any target, any weapon you like. And so it was just cool because people were building
Sounds like a great
9
quest.
mil guns where they wouldn't. People were building, like, I hate the SVD, but I built an SVD for the 7.62 by 54R quest. So it was refreshing. You know what I mean? And that was the thing that I always preferred. I would rather do more things my way than just kill 10 things, but it has to be this specific thing and with this gun, with this optic and this. You know what I mean? It's giving me the agency, but then asking me to do more is okay. Like Gingy got it in one raid. She brought like 3 guns in and then ended up finding, like she found something 9 mil on scavs and just ran around and killed more scavs. And then she found a 7.62. And so it was just like cool that I felt that quest was refreshing because it gave the player the agency to just do it how you want to do it. But
You're
it forced
by RNG.
Yeah, but it forces you to kind of like move around and try new guns. And I was like, oh, that's kind of sick actually. And then it was like find a bunch of stuff in raid. And then it was the supply and demand one, which I can actually read you the thing. It says, judging by the latest news, the situation in Tarkov cannot be called stable. We have to make do with what we have. However, I have a unique proposition for you. A new phase of the conflict is about to develop. History repeats itself in cycles, and my predictions never fail me. I have received a good shipment of good kinds of stuff, and thank you, I can finally breathe freely. I've decided to invest in major marketing research. Just like last time, I need you to use your favorite weapon, but now you'll be wearing a special tracker that will help us stay in touch. I have recruited some of your colleagues to do the same. The most popular weapons will be put up for sale. If it works out well, we'll even try and get a discount on the rest of the stuff. You in? So it made it, and then it just said, and then the objectives on the quest were eliminate PMCs with your favorite weapon.
Huh.
Yeah, interesting.
Huh. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
It's been worse.
Yeah, 100%. It wasn't a bad. It's so funny. The past 2 events they've done were just small quest lines. And both times I was like, wow, these quests are some of the more like well-designed ones. But the events get a really negative rap because they keep calling them events. They keep tweeting, a new event has started. And everybody thinks bosses are moved. Something is happening. Raiders are airdrops, like an event. But nothing in-game changes. It's just 4 quests. And so I think they need to change that verbiage. And if they had been doing events like every weekend and then did one of these and they just tweeted like a new quest line is in the game, the reception I think would be so much better. But they have been doing so little traditional events when the community is like begging for them, like give us a reason to run around. And then they keep saying, these are cool events we're doing. And it's not, it's just 4 quests. So I want to give them props on the quests kind of being pretty decent, but they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot because they keep calling them events and then not doing real events. But yeah, I mean, whatever. It was pretty cool. So yeah. Now, all that being said, that's the Tarkov stuff. Bro, I have been playing the actual shit out of Delta Force. Hawk 2.
Yeah. Hawk 2. How's it been?
Yeah. So it's super fun. It's super fun. The extraction mode. I played exactly 2 rounds of the Battlefield mode. Battlefield was a game I wanted to like more than I ever liked. Like I felt like I never got in with a group of my friends that loved Battlefield. And so we were always Call of Duty or Halo. So I missed some of the classic like Battlefield 4, Battlefield 3, Battlefield Bad Company, like when Battlefield was battlefielding out of its mind. I kind of missed that.
It's not the same when you jump in with 30 randos and no one's talking and like, yeah.
Exactly. So because of that type of game mode just like never did it for me. I never got the meta strategies of how to like push as a group or how to use vehicles. I feel like I would just die 87 times to like a plane or a helicopter. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? You know, then I play the class with the RPG and I get sniped. And it never clicked. And that probably was because you need like those games are the most fun when there's like 10 people on the freaking mics and we're all yelling at each other. So
I always used to just flank around behind everything
Yeah.
and then just see how many kills I could get. And it was either I get around and I get like 6 or 7 kills, or I die halfway there.
Yeah.
Like getting run over by a fucking tank or something.
Exactly. So we played like 2 rounds of that, and both rounds were like filled with bots, like bot players. I don't know if it was because the servers. Yeah, I don't know if it was just because the servers they didn't release enough keys. I don't know if they were prioritizing quick matchmaking, so they would matchmake with like 30 people instead of 60, and then fill the rest with bots because they didn't want people waiting. I don't know what they were doing, but the 2 rounds we played were filled with bots. The extraction mode, though, bro, I think it's so good. I think it's fun. I don't think it's perfect. I know already people are typing in the comments like Jesse glazing Delta Force, and I don't care. I'm having so much fun.
Glazing?
Oh yeah, you haven't heard that?
Sorry, I'm all out of the skibbity.
Oh man,
I don't know I don't know.
My son yells skibbity toilet at me all the time. You want to know? You want to know something funny, dude?
I don't know what that means.
My 3-year-old. I can't remember if I told you this. My 3-year-old came up to me with his
hawk to it.
No, oh my god, with his Lego, and he goes, Dad, and he holds, and it's a little Lego hot dog, and he was like, Dad, I need to find the other part of my glizzy. Dude, I was like, tell me where you heard that word right now,
so I can set it on fire or whatever it was. Was it a phone? Was it a friend? You tell me.
Dude, I was like, what did you just say to me? And he meant the bun. He couldn't find the bun of the hot dog, this tiny little Lego hot dog, but he was like, where's the other part of my glizzy?
One of my in-laws, he it's so bad, but it's so fucking funny. I like don't even want to say it. Oh my god. I don't even know how old they are. I don't know how old kids are. I don't know if they're 7 or if they're 2. I don't know.
I get that.
But he'll go, can I get a yeah?
Oh,
you know, like
my
that whole thing.
God.
And then you'll just hear it's like little girls from the next room say it. It's just like it's like, oh my god.
Can I get
so
a oh yeah?
He's like, it's so bad, dude, but I can't. It's so fucking funny.
Bro,
I'm like, oh,
I'll just like,
this is why I can't have kids.
I'll just like come
I
out.
would meme too hard.
I'll just like come out. He just hears things and he doesn't know what they mean. So I'll just like walk out of my office really quick and he'll yell, hey, skibbity toilet, or something like that. He's like, hey, you stupid fruit ninja. And I'm like, what are you saying, bro? And he just doesn't know. He just hears words and phrases. Is that
the new angry F word that?
Yeah, fruit ninja.
You fruit ninja.
Like, dude,
God.
We got Nerf guns. We were at freaking Goodwill or something, and we got these 2 big Nerf guns that don't even have any Nerf darts, but they just pretend. And he was like, yes! And my 6-year-old was like, let's go play Fortnite. And to them, Fortnite is just cops and robbers. It's just like shooting each other. But they're like, let's go play Fortnite.
Do you see him like stacking boxes and he's jumping up on the boxes?
Cranking 90s.
Gotta build.
In my living room. Yeah, it's so funny.
Oh, shit.
Anyways, glazing is when you like are just like, you're just complimenting, just like everything they do is perfect. Like, oh, no, like people used to glaze the shit out of BSG. Back in the day, simping? Right? Yeah, it's kind of like simping, but for like a thing. Like, like In-N-Out is not as good as you guys were saying. You guys were just glaze it up or something like that.
Yeah,
like it's glazing.
Now, what the fuck is skibbity toilet, dude?
Skibbity toilet is a whole thing. It's like is it Gary's mod? Or it's one of those games, and it's just a rabbit hole. It's just one of those old games where people have access to all the assets. And at some point, some dude put a head in a toilet and then made it, sing to the skibbity version of this song. It was just like, it's one of those things where like 11 different corners of the internet touched. It's brain rot. And then now,
and you get kids looking at Gary's mod and they have no idea. They probably think it's a cartoon.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's like skibbity toilet is like, when I say skibbity toilet, you, Veritas, you think like, wow, Zoomer, but then it's like it's Gary's mod. So it's like so many corners of the internet came together to make Skibbity Toilet. And now there's like it's
42 million.
It's a whole series of videos. There's like deep lore now and like wars going on and politics, but no real words are said the whole time. It's all Skibbity. It's all just like slowed down or sped up. Skibbity. Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Skibbity doo dah, skibbity yeah.
Anyways, so
people, what's wrong with kids
already
today?
Are saying, I'm sure, are typing up that I'm glazing up this game, but I don't care. What I say to you is stop being a wiener. More than one game can be fun. So Delta Force, let's just like, so you know how, like when we were talking about Arena Breakout a lot, it was like Arena Breakout was basically just listened to like every quality of life feature we've ever wanted out of Tarkov and implemented it. This game somehow has like 50 more quality of life features. Like it's just the most smooth and like user-centered game that I've played in a while. And that's probably because I only play Tarkov, which is the least user-centered game. But I will say at a high level, this is, in my opinion, exactly what I wanted DMZ to be. So I would say it's even more pulled to like the arcadey side than Arena Breakout was. And Arena Breakout was like a little bit more arcadey than Tarkov. This like the gunplay and the guns and the visuals are pretty unmistakably like Call of Duty. Like this looks like Call of Duty, and it's like yes, it does. This is, and a lot of people, the reaction is
so good.
Yes, exactly the reaction is like, why does this look like Call of Duty? It's like because it's supposed to. Like you can say you don't like that, that's okay, but people ask as if it was an accident. Like, ew, how did this end up looking like Call of Duty? It's like because it's just supposed to. Like this is kind of what they're going for. The gunplay feels very Call of Duty. The like weightiness of the gun sounds, the movement feels pretty Call of Duty, although there's no like sliding or anything. So it's more so what like DMZ should have been. When you think Call of Duty's making an extraction shooter, I think what we all secretly wanted was pretty much this game where you're like, oh yeah, this feels like Call of Duty, but there's an actual real extraction shooter here. I've been thinking a lot about extraction shooters recently, a lot about why a lot of them failed, Cycle Frontier, Marauders, kind of stuff like that, why Arena Breakout seems to strike a really good chord. And I think like the two most important things to an extraction shooter are like the lethality. You actually kind of have to feel like it's finding that sweet spot of feeling like you're powerful enough to like get into fights and fight people and not just like you're paper thin, you're going to insta die, but not too chunky that like you have to be scared of losing your gear at all times. You know what I mean? It's threading that needle. And the other most important thing is like loot. I think what a lot of people don't understand, especially when other games like Battlefield made their whatever stupid game and then Call of Duty made DMZ, that was a big thing for me, was like the loot economy in DMZ was atrocious. You only had like 4 slots. You couldn't loot anything. There weren't like backpacks. Like a core principle in extraction shooters, if we're using Tarkov as the examples, is like the come up raid. Like I killed 8 people and I took most of all of their stuff and I'm like waddling to the extract. That one raid covers you for like 100 deaths. The dopamine of that and the thought of potentially being able to do that again. So a lot of these other games just like never really nailed the loot. And Arena Breakout seems to do a really good job of it. And this one does as well. But so at a high level, it's just Tarkov with Arena Breakouts, quality of life stuff, Call of Duty gunplay and visuals, and Battlefield's like gadgets. Like in Battlefield 2042, you select a class, and if you're an engineer, you have these gadgets. So it's almost like a hero shooter, but not, you don't have like superpowers, you just have like gadgets you can use. So that's like the quadrant that it just smashes all those things together in. And it's fun. It's fun.
it feel in terms of just movement and gunplay? Does it feel like it gets in your way? Does it feel smooth?
No, it feels smooth. It feels it's almost it's funny, it's almost slower than Tarkov, but that's probably because I'm used to like max skills. Like if you're new to Tarkov, you're like, ooh, the movement's faster. But I've had max strength and endurance in Tarkov and I stim up, and so I kind of feel like I can move a little bit quicker. But it feels smooth and it feels chunky. And I was actually surprised. I think so far, I haven't tried every gun. They've seemed to have thread the needle pretty decent on recoil as well, where the attachments matter. In Call of Duty, it's sometimes it feels like almost no matter what gun you're using, it's kind of a laser beam and the attachments are just like for visuals. But in a looter shooter, you want the attachments to be a big part of the loot. And so it like the guns feel like you kind of have to, handle them to get good recoil. And then when you have like purple attachments on it, it feels much better. So the gunplay feels good. The movement feels good. It's probably the game, at least in my opinion, with the best stock standard stamina. Like, I'm always running out of stamina, but when you spawn in, if I just spawn in with full stamina and run, I don't feel like I'm like, oh my God, I'm already out of breath. You know what I mean? If you mismanage it, you can get into that point where you're just like always sprinting right. As soon as it comes out of the red, you sprint and you're like, oh, I don't have any stamina. But if you are just from completely full, it actually does a good job. And what this game has that Arena Breakout didn't, and correct me if I'm wrong because I didn't play a ton of Arena Breakout, Chad, but there's a hideout in this game. It's called the Black Site, and it's actually fully interactable. There's no reason to, so people won't, but you can go in there and like talk to the people in there and buy your stuff from there. You're going to just buy stuff from the menus, but you can walk around in it. But there's a hideout, and upgrading it, like one of the modules, the gym module, increases your max stamina. And like, I think eventually if you keep upgrading it, like how fast your stamina recovers. So the stamina's in a good spot right off the rip, and you can even increase it. So movement feels pretty good as well. It's got vaulting. It's got, you can jump. There's no slide unless you're one character. His abilities, he can slide. So it's on the average, it's not like Apex Legends or Call of Duty where there's like slide canceling or something like that. This one guy can slide, but yeah, it's pretty good. The gunplay feels good.
I always thought the endurance, like one way to make it potentially more realistic, and of course this is one of those things like you can't possibly know until you implement it and test it.
Yeah.
But to have a much larger pool of endurance that regens significantly slower, but like it's consumed slower.
Yeah.
Like it's overall, like if you jog a little bit and then take a break and then jog a little bit and then take a break and then jog a little bit, like you won't really be too far.
Yeah.
You can jog for basically, a really long time. But if you're like, running a bunch, then stopping, looking at a box, running a bunch and stopping, looking at a box, running a bunch, then eventually it's like, it's low. And you have to fucking take a breath. Is that what it's like? Or like how do they pace it?
I mean, it's like there's enough POIs on the map that there aren't a lot of times, unless you're like, I'm here, kind of like Tarkov, unless you're like, I'm here and I need to go to the other side of the map to get my extract. There aren't a lot of times where you feel like you're like running out your stamina bar, then walking until it's full, then running it out, then walking it till it's full. Because the map is populated enough, there's always something close to loot. So that's kind of what refills the stamina. Because you're always like, ooh, let me go in here and loot. Then by the time you're done, your stamina's full, you run to the next POI. So I've always thought it would be a cool idea to do like an overcharge. That's not a good word for it, but like, here's your default overcharge. Here's your default sprint speed. If I hold Alt Shift or something, I can sprint faster than that, but it consumes stamina much quicker. So it's like almost like an adrenaline sprint. Yes.
Yeah.
Like your sprint speed should be such that you don't feel like you have to do that all the time. The sprint speed should feel good, but it would be cool as like an adrenaline sprint almost, that if I have to get around this corner, I can feel like I can give it. You know what I mean? It just feels good to feel like you're putting the pedal to the metal in a situation where you feel like you need to put your pedal to the metal. So something like that I think could be kind of cool. But dude, let me just like tell you some things that will make you happy. Maybe not even make you want to play the game, but just as someone who played an extraction shooter so much, let me just tell you some things that will make you happy. The firing range.
Ready.
Okay. The firing range, it's 4 lanes and there's 4 target dummies. Okay. As you shoot the target dummies, there's a little pane up in the top left. As you shoot the target dummies, it tells you how much damage you've done to the target dummy, your accuracy against the target dummy, and your average time to kill it, because it falls over when you've dealt 100 damage and everybody has 100 HP. At any,
my God, it tells you time to kill.
yes, at any
That
time.
is the thing that nothing ever does. It always, like, even in Diablo, in all of these games, what they do is they tell you how much damage you do.
Yeah.
It always makes you like have to like video record it.
Yeah.
And then like do the math basically, because what you care about is not shots to kill, because with a different fire rate, that's a different, it means something different, right? Time to kill is really what you
and let me
care
blow your
about.
mind. It doesn't reset when the dummy comes back up. So you could blast down the dummy, let it come back up, blast down the dummy, do that 14 times, and now it's your average time to kill across those 14 times. And at any time you just press O, resets it. Okay? Then at each of the lanes, there's 4 lanes. It's not
You're
one.
right. This does make me happy. That makes me very happy. I give like almost 0 fucks. If like someone gave me a key, I would play.
Yeah.
If you were available to play, I would play. Otherwise, I'm probably not going to look at it. But yet that makes me very happy.
On each of the lanes, each of the 4 lanes, you can walk up to a computer and enter a terminal. And at each of the 4 lanes, you can set the distance of the target dummy between anywhere, literally to the single meter, anywhere between 0 and 200 meters. You can toggle on or off damage numbers that pop up. So if you want to see them like pop up over the guy's head as you shoot them, you can change the HP of the target dummy to 100, 200, 400, 800. I'm assuming that means like the bosses have more HP, so you can kind of see the time to kill against some of the bosses. And you can place, at no charge, any helmet or armor in the game on the target dummy. And then calculate time to kill. And I'm not done. When there's armor on, every time you shoot it, the thing live updates to it. Like if I put a class 6 armor on and I shoot it, it says I did 20 armor damage, 40 armor damage, and then it'll go 60 armor damage, 7 flesh damage. So it's literally live calculating how much the armor is getting chunked down when you start doing actual damage to the person, and then how much damage to kill. Bro, that's just the firing range, dude.
That's fucking Battle Buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are the chances they download a Battle
What are
Buddy?
the chances,
who
dude?
even developed the game? I don't know. Probably. I mean, that's probably wishful thinking, but that's the shit that. Yeah. Should I sue them? Stolen. I'm gonna DMCA the game.
So that's the firing range. These are in no particular order. These are just like notes I had about amazing things. There's called dispersed items. If your backpack is full and I walk up to an item, and I go to pick it up, but my backpack is full, I could tab into my backpack, drop an item, then pick that item up. Or if you walk up to the item, F is interact. If you hold F on the item, it treats that individual item like a container and opens up a fake box that item is in and your inventory. So you can just hold F on it and then replace it with any item you want. So you can see the item and then see the thing. And it also then works as proximity loot. And anything that gets dropped near you pops up in that pseudo box.
Gotcha.
Which is it just removes a click. Instead of having to tab into my inventory, find a thing I want, then throw it on the ground, tab out of my inventory, then pick up the thing, I just walk up to the thing and hold F, and now I can have the thing right here and look and be like, I'm going to take this out, boom, done. It just takes out a click.
And does it have the equivalent of Alt and Control clicking items?
Yeah.
God damn.
Oh, dude. This is going to fry your brain. The details, any gun, and you can build it any way you want. And then when you double click on the gun, there's a page that says details, and you can click details. And then what brings up is a menu that's broken up into like 6 different tabs. And what it starts with is it will tell you how much damage, it'll show you a body, and it'll tell you how much damage your gun's going to do to any particular body part. And then there's a graph that shows you the damage fall off for the gun you're using. So at this many meters, 20% damage gets falled off. At this many meters, boom. And it shows you that graph. And then you click, that's one tab. And then you click recoil. And it shows you all the base recoil stats of the gun, how all of the attachments have averaged them up or down. And it shows you the average spray pattern of the gun with no attachments. And then next to it in green, it shows the predicted new spray pattern with all the attachments you have.
I'm assuming it's like at 25 meters or at 10 meters. Yeah. Or...
Then you click stability, and it shows you your, like, the approximate against a dummy. Once again, it'll say at the bottom, like at 50 meters, the approximate hit box due to the natural sway of the weapon, a smaller box for if you're holding your breath, and a larger box for when you're out of stamina. Then you click another tab, and it shows you a circle of your hip fire accuracy at whatever meters, when standing still, when moving, and when out of breath. And all of it live updates when you change attachments.
Something tells me that their code base probably has significantly less spaghetti than
so much
ESG's.
Less spaghetti.
Because, like, here's the thing. All of these things sound like so incredible, but if you like well-designed systems, well-designed software, this kind of stuff is trivial.
Yeah.
All you're doing is effectively like reproducing some other code system.
I would assume all of that information is being processed. It is reducing the recoil of the gun when I put it. So it's really just displaying information that the game is processing, right? So yeah, you would think it is kind of trivial because it's just displaying information it already has to calculate. But yeah, it's also, you can choose what ammo you want to use in the range as well.
So you don't have to have it.
No, it's unlimited ammo in the range. And right there in Tarkov, you have to back out, put extra ammo in your gun, but you would never even do that because you're not shooting anything like in Tarkov. But just from there, you hold R and a radial menu pops up and you just reload to whatever ammo you want.
And is there like a shit ton of options, or is there like
like
3 bullets per caliber or something? 4?
Yeah. So some have 3, but it's
subsonic,
gray,
armor penetrating.
It's gray, green, blue, purple. I guess some have 5. So like some guns don't have gray or green. It's just blue, purple, and like the VSS only has 3 tiers of ammo, and it's the top tiers. Like the M4 has a gray round and a green round and a blue and a purple.
There's no cheap 9x39 or whatever.
Yeah, there's not like 18, and they're color coded, so you just know. You don't have to know that 55A1 is better than 855. 855 is blue, 55A1 is purple. You know what I mean? So you're just like, oh, that's the better one. And you can choose what you want to reload to, which is nice. Okay. Something that happens in this game that I think also happens in Arena Breakout. I actually can't remember. But when you get shot, you go down. You don't immediately die. So when I take lethal damage, I go down. And I can get revived. You can carry bodies. So while I'm down, you can pick me up and carry me to a better spot and then res me if you want. If I get thirsted, this is interesting. If I get thirsted, you can still res me. When you res me, my max HP is now 80, not 100. So you can, like, that's a super arcadey thing, right? Like you can go down and get rezzed, and you can even get thirsted and get rezzed. That's like a really arcadey thing compared to Tarkov. But there is actual consequences for it. Your max health is different. If I go down and get thirsted again, I go right back to the menu. So from being full thirsted, you can get rezzed 1 time. So you can't, like, it's not like a spam where it's just nonstop. You're in a fight with the same squad for 10 minutes because everybody keeps falling back and rezzing their teammates. You get one chance to res from being thirsted. So that adds to the strategy of like, you want to thirst people, because if this guy does get rezzed, the next time you thirst him, he's out.
Interesting. I would imagine that there's also like sometimes there's a risk in thirsting, right? Like sometimes because what you're doing is like you're focusing on the guy, you're getting greedy
and wasting ammo.
And wasting ammo, and then you get killed by his homie who's just like a little bit too late.
Yeah.
And then you die. Maybe you're alone.
Yes.
Nobody can get you up, and he gets his buddy up, and now there's 1.8 players.
Yeah.
And you're gone.
It's
right?
definitely people that play games like Apex know this type of gameplay loop better. Like there have been a few times in chat, I wasn't even mad, but a few times in chat where like we were in a situation and a few people in chat were malding. They were like, you shouldn't have done that. You should have gone for the res. Always go for the res there. And like even those statements, like always in this situation, go for the res. It's like that's a meta that forms in other games. And he's probably right. Like I wasn't even mad. I was like, I basically was like, we're not meta. Like we're goofing off. Like don't worry about it. Because he's probably right. There is a meta to like when you should use that extra ammo and thirst, who has the numbers, when you should res. But coming from Tarkov, dude, if I die, I'm dead, right? So I'm not used to that type of, thought process. But it's nice that when I heard that you were going to be able to go down and get rezzed, I was worried it was just going to get way too arcadey and just like you can just never die, really. Yeah. But at least you can only go down the one time. And then you're done. And there's also a time limit. Like, so if you go down, but don't get thirsted, and if you don't res me in time, I go full down. And if I go full down, there's a time limit. And if you don't res me in time, I'm done.
You can't just like camp the body forever.
Exactly. You can't camp the buddy's body forever. But you can pick up bodies and move them, which I love. And what's interesting too, to remove clutter, I guess they do it to remove clutter. If a whole squad goes down, squads of 3, when the third guy dies, all of the bodies disappear. And what's left on the ground is like a briefcase that has all their loot in it. So like the body,
Wait, so it consolidates all the players' loot into one container?
Yeah. Well, no, when you loot that container, it looks like the body. Like the whole UI is still the body, but the physical body just disappears and it's just a container on the ground. It's weird. Yeah. I don't really know why. I think it would actually be kind of cool to leave the bodies just laying there and then you go loot them, but that's how they did it. But you can also pick up those briefcases. It's an animation. And you throw it over your shoulder and you put it up there like a boombox, and you can carry a full dead person's loot to a different place and then loot it. It's kind of cool.
Huh.
Oh, and by the way, smoke grenades
are
actually phenomenal. So I have many times smoked either a downed teammate or a body that I killed, picked up the teammate or the loot, and then used the smoke as cover to carry it to a safer spot. So it's like, nice.
Hell yeah.
Nice. Quality of life thing that's actually been like making me mauled because of my muscle memory. In this game, if you're in an inventory and you get shot, it exits for you.
So you open up the inventory.
But I open the inventory. I keep hitting tab because I'm used to having to close my inventory. So it literally pulls me out, and then I open the inventory, and I'm just sitting there getting shot.
That's kind of annoying, actually.
I wish I could
like it.
Toggle it on or off.
I don't like it when games do things
for you.
When games do things that you didn't do for you.
Yeah.
Or they prevent you from doing something you want to do.
Yeah.
That's why I hate like crowd control in Diablo, when it's like, I see there's like an explosion about to happen under my body and I'm going to move and I'm frozen. I'm like, it's like when I'm brought back to when I was 11 playing COD 4 and like my fucking router was lagging and I was just like running in place and I'm like screaming.
Yeah. So there might even be a setting to toggle that. I didn't see it. I hope they add it. But I can see for somebody that's newer to the genre, if you got used to that system, it would be nicer because it's just like you just are in combat and you know that you want to engage in that combat.
I guess a bunch of people are saying that the crate could be like a Chinese thing. Like maybe like having a dead corpse is like,
oh, interesting.
Maybe, culturally significant
Maybe.
in China,
Maybe.
more so than not like shooting someone dead isn't bad, but the dead body is. I don't know.
No, maybe there's something
I
there.
can see it.
The gunsmithing thing is really cool. It's basically exactly what you would expect out of Tarkov. Like, you can change almost everything, and almost everything has like 5 or 10 different things. You know what I mean? Like, even some of the rails, even some of the like hand guards have the rails that snap on that don't do anything. They're just like make it look cooler. You've got all the foregrips and everything. But it takes it one step further. The foregrips and the optics can be calibrated. So the foregrip, you can move it up or down the rail.
Does it change the handle?
Yes. Closer to you, quicker ADS speed, but slightly less control. Farther away, more control, slightly less ADS speed.
Fuck right off,
dude. And it's not.
And now the fact that they have that and still have the spray pattern stuff in the menus and whatever is even more impressive.
Yep. And it's not super significant. So it's not one of those things where you feel like you have to. There's not going to be a meta where it's like calibrate it to slot 7. It's just enough to make you feel like it's your gun. You know what I mean? And then on the optic, what you can do is you can calibrate the optic to be 0.5. So, sorry. The range is 0.5x. So you can increase the zoom of an optic 0.25x or decrease it 0.25x. And you can do that with hollows or with scopes. So like the hammer scope is a 3.25x. If you like a tiny bit more, you can make it a 3.5x. If you like it a tiny less, you can make it a 3x. So you can do that with hollows too, like red dots. You can make it so instead of just a 1x zoom, it's like a 1.25x. You just get a tiny little bit of extra, or you can make it, your full 1x or whatever. So that's kind of cool. Once again, I just think it's neato. Additionally, there are gunsmith tasks, like build a gun with these stats, like very a la Tarkov. If you have that task accepted and you're in the gunsmith menu with that gun, there's a button and you click it and it drops down the menu with the quest text and will glow red or green for each of the stats if you've hit it or not. So instead of backing up, going to mechanic, clicking the thing, 37 ergo, backing up, going to the gunsmith, getting 30 ergo, it's just, if it's automatic. If you don't have a quest, that button's not there. If you do have a quest for that, it's just a little drop down. Yeah, bro. Yeah. Yeah. When you're moving stuff around in your inventory, it automatically rotates when it needs to. And I know that probably sounds awful, but it's really good. So, for example, if I have something, it's 2 slots, 2 cells, and it's horizontal. And I wanted to rotate it so it was like vertical and all the way to the left corner of my backpack, right? If I drag it to that top left cell, it'll stay horizontal. But if I drag it a little bit farther left in that top left cell, it just automatically goes vertical. And so
like you move your mouse and it would go like,
yes.
Before you release?
Yes, because it knows that there aren't any additional cells to the left. So if you're continuing to move it to the left, it just makes it vertical for you.
Yeah.
And it in 2 hours, I don't rotate anymore. It actually works and is intuitive. It's weird. I actually thought I wouldn't like that, but it's kind of nice.
Is how do you feel skill wise against like the player base at the moment?
Okay, so that's
like, are you getting fucking owned or are you owning
everything? This is one of the we'll actually talk about that a little bit when we talk about some of the cons. The TLDR is there is some tomfoolery in their matchmaking, and I don't know what it is yet.
Matchmaking, okay.
I don't know what it is yet. I don't know if it's gear-based, skill-based, random, but something is there. Rank-based, there's ranked, but something is going on under the covers. Sometimes I feel really good. Sometimes I feel really evenly matched. Sometimes I feel like I'm getting cheated on already. And just like in Tarkov, that happens, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Because I want to talk about my favorite thing in the game. We talked when I was telling you about how excited I was for this game that I saw in the videos that there were like in-game missions. You know what I mean? When you're in a raid and you go and you accept a contract. Okay. They have nailed that, bro. So there's so many levels. Every time you go into a raid, there's like 6 of those around the map. And most of the time, most of them are really simple. Like you accept the contract and it's like eliminate the threats. And when you accept it, it spawns a bunch of AI. One of them is going to be kind of like a boss AI. When you clear them all, you get your reward, which is like $10,000 and the potential for some loot. So simple stuff. But because money's not physical in this game, like you can't like put $10,000 on you. It's just like all in your stash. So that's the money you use. Some of the extracts are like pay 10,000 to extract here. So it kind of, pushes you around. You might actually want to go do one of these things, or you might want to do it for the loot. You might want to do it for the money, whatever. That's like the low tier. And then there are some higher tier contracts that pay more, that are much more bespoke. Like there's one where you have to go accept the contract and then you place a C4 on a door and then you have to defend from waves of AI that spawn while the C4 counts down for 2 minutes and then it blows the door open and there's loot in there. And you could do that and then immediately get into a PvP fight. And if while you're in the PvP fight, you don't kill the waves of enemies in time, you fail the mission and the door doesn't blow open and you don't get the loot. So it's this emergent like...
But then if they kill you after you open the door but don't loot it, then they get the loot?
They get the loot.
You just have people camping outside of the event doors.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't really, because I mean, maybe you would actually. Listen, we gotta see what Stank-Rat does. But then there's even more. Then there's even higher tier ones where like this, and I'll give you an example of one. You go on a map and there's this big like SAM missile thing, right? And you go and you hack it and you prep all the missiles. Now you have to defend it from waves of enemies for a minute. Once you defend it, it shoots a missile across the map and blows open a new part of the map. You go to that part of the map and...
I assume that's obvious to everybody else on the map.
Yes, it's obvious to everybody else on the map so they can come get you if you want. Once you blow that open, there's a safe down there, a giant safe. You put a giant drill on it and you drill into the safe and you have to defend it for a minute. Once it opens, there's like a huge Giga Chad boss in there. And once it opens, it's a bank vault, like it's a huge safe, right? And on the back wall are safe deposit boxes. And like 50% of them are like lit up, like you can loot them. And every single one of them to loot them is a mini game where you have to like press spacebar at the right time 4 times in a row. And when they open...
Solve a medium difficulty Sudoku?
Yeah, and when they open, there's loot inside. Once you get into the safe, like somebody in the bank vault left the radio on. So it's like blaring music, and you have a countdown timer because once the timer ends, the safes lock. And it's like the most obvious thing. So 2 times in a row, we did it where we had the AI, the music blaring, we're trying to crack the safes. Players are coming down to steal our loot. And it was like the most crazy thing. Because if you win, you get like more money for doing those and all the loot that was in the safes. And so those are the levels of in-game contracts. Every time you load into a raid, before you load in, it shows you the map. It shows you the map for that raid. And it's a completely random roll on which of those events are live, that raid. So, so it's different all the time. So it's emergent. So we might be going in to this map to do this quest. But As we're loading in, it shows us the map. We go, yo, the wall breaker crest is up. It pays well, there's good loot, and we know there's going to be good PvP. Now let's go do that first. Or let's wait and see if somebody else does it and then go flank them. Every raid has the potential to change what you want to do in the raid. So what I was worried about is that there were only going to be like 2 or 3 in-game quests, and they were just, after like a week of playing, you just like never do them. But it is really an actual genuine way to interact with the game and changes what you want to do. Emergent gameplay. And it's a PvP catalyst. It's everything we've talked about in Tarkov, where it's like, if you don't want a PvP and that super juicy mission is up, you're excited because you're assuming most players are going to go try to do that. And then now you can skirt the map and quest. It's just like, dude. And then there's one more layer. There's a thing called a Mandel brick. And it's a super low chance to spawn. And when it does, once again, on the map, it'll show you the location of the Mandel brick. The Mandel brick is like, it's just a thing, you run up to it, and it's like this gold bar. And if you pick it up, every player on the map can see you the entire time you have it. If you extract with it, you like decode it for some like juicy loot. And there's an additional aspect to it. There's 2 places on the map where you can encode or decode or something, the Mandel brick. If we're a squad of 3,
like Mandelbrot,
I don't know what it's called. Mandel and then space brick, just Mandel brick.
DEL or DLE?
I don't know. I don't remember. But so you got the Mandel brick. If we as a team extract, only you get the rewards for having the Mandel brick. But if you want to risk it, there's 2 places on the map you can go to like decode the Mandel brick. And basically what it does is if you do that and extract, everyone in your team gets the rewards.
Oh, okay.
So it's tiers of like, I have this thing and now everyone on the map knows where I am. Do I get out immediately or do we stay in longer to increase the amount of loot we're getting out?
All your teammates are begging you to stay in and you have to be like, do I be selfish?
So that's, once again, a whole nother realm of like, we got to go do this. You know what I mean? Like emergent gameplay. And it's like Arena Breakout where it has high roller lobbies where like all the maps you can go in the standard lobby or the high roller lobby has better loot. But you actually have to bring more gear in. You have to bring like $100,000 worth of gear in. And in the higher roller lobbies, the Mandel bricks have a higher percent chance to spawn. And so they did that really well, in my opinion. The like dynamic in-game quests that have value for loot, have value for extraction, have value for PvP catalysts, and are different every time you play. Like the holy trinity. Like it just, I was like, whoa.
Have they been listening to the podcast?
Dude, yeah.
I mean,
it's crazy. It's crazy. There's a bunch of different types of ones. So yeah, they're blow through a few of these last ones. Their settings are insane. You can in the settings of the game, you can set the priority order so that when you auto sort your stash, it sorts what you want at the top all the way down to the bottom. So I want meds first, then treasure items, then ammo, then guns, or you can change that order anytime you want.
Your custom sort, huh?
Custom sort.
Fuck.
If you click on any item, there's a button that says usage. Click on it. It'll tell you if you need it for any of your hideout upgrades.
Is there a flea market?
There is a flea market. So
you quick sell?
Not to the flea market, but you can bash sale to the traders. There aren't traders. You just sell either to the market or to the game. And when you're selling to the game, you can batch sell and sell whatever you want. You just click a button and then click all the things you want to sell and then just click sell. Yeah. Dude. So this game, this and Arena Breakout were both designed with squad fill in mind, knowing that a lot of people are going to turn on squad fill because it has matchmaking like that. Like Tarkov doesn't have squad fill, but you can turn on squad fill in this game. If I have a key to a room, okay, and I open the room, For 45 seconds, no one on my team can pick anything up. I have loot priority. So your squad fill members can't run in and steal all your loot from a key you spent $5 million on.
Is that only the squad fill people?
No, anyone in your squad. Even when we were playing with like Geeks and Valiant. So you literally can't take somebody else's loot. You have 45 seconds to loot that room before they can take it.
Can you team kill?
No team kill. Once again, matchmaking, squad fill, arena breakout was the same. No friendly fire, which is kind of unfortunate. What's almost nice is there's also no team collision. So your freaking teammates aren't ever getting in the way. You can just walk through them.
Oh yeah.
Once again, squad fill in mind. Like if you're at a doorway and so your teammate just stands there in front of you, if there was collision, they could just like leave and you couldn't do anything about it. A lot of the games that are like have, made from like China or Asia are very squad fill in mind. A lot of these features Arena Breakout also had. So it's insane. They also have gear tickets, which is almost like a spin on the Dark and Darker. You know how in Dark and Darker, every time you die, you spawn with like a base kit. Most of the high roller players, they just sell it all, but you always have something. They do gear tickets where you can buy for $5,000, which is like nothing. A gear ticket, and when you're going into a raid, there's 3 different gear sets you can choose from and pay this ticket and have a whole set. And it's like and you can refresh them. You can like pay 5,000 to like swap one out, but it'll have a gun and these 2 meds but decent ammo, or it'll have a gun and they're all different in like it might have better armor but worse ammo. It might have better meds but worse headphones or something like that. And then there's 3 layers of gear tickets, green, blue, and gold. And like if you get a hold of a gold gear ticket, it's like a juicer gear set you get for free. But it's nice on the low end because you can buy these tickets for much cheaper than building that kit would be. And you can just run in with a gear ticket kit and try and go for a come up. So
no hatchlings ever.
So yeah, no hatchlings.
Unless you're memeing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just quality of life, the game. Now the cons, and there are definitely cons, the time to kill in this game is way too fast. Way too fast. And I know it's funny because in Tarkov right now, everyone's saying it's too slow because the armor's too OP, but you'll spend $300,000 on a purple armor and a guy with gray ammo will 2-tap you. Or he'll hit you twice and your armor is at zero durability now. The time to kill is extremely fast. Now it's an alpha, and I hope that they adjust it. And I don't want them to go, swing the pendulum too far the other way. But right now it appears that there's very little reason to spend good money on good armor because the time to kill is crazy fast. Now, the flip side is you can bring armor repair kits and helmet repair kits in raid and use them in raid, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
But just the likelihood of you surviving a volley of bullets, like you either kill them or they kill you. There's very few like I tagged him, he tagged me, we're both repositioning. It's like one of us is dying, which doesn't feel that good to me. And I've seen what's nice is I'm trying not to complain about it, but like every streamer I've talked to and everybody in the chat that has played the game, most people have been like, the time to kill is way too short. So the armor repairing is really nice, but the time to kill, in my opinion, is a problem. The monetization is going to be interesting, right? Like the game is fun, but if we can just buy, like it looks like you're going to be able to buy, like pay a subscription to get a bigger secure container. Are you going to be able to buy those gear tickets, like those gold gear tickets? Am I going to be able to buy premium currency and then use it on those gold gear tickets and then just have the best gear in the game? All the monetization features are turned off for the alpha. But when you noodle around the menus enough, you're like, okay, I see where this is going. So I am concerned about that. The economy is the exact same economy as Arena Breakout, and I did not like the way that functioned. When you get to like level 5, you get access to the flea market or the auction house. And when you have access to the auction house, you can buy anything you want in the entire game if it's listed on there.
Okay.
So it just becomes a money game.
Yeah.
That's it.
Where you have money and then you're just running the same thing, like your favorite thing over and over and over again.
Yeah. And it's the whole, everything I talk about in Tarkov right now, where it's like, there's nothing that gets you excited to find other than money related items. You're like, ooh, this guy has a gold armor. Yeah, but it's trashed and I'd have to repair it. And it's so big that to take it, I would have to drop all these things that are just worth money. You know what I mean? So I understand that that's like, I don't even know how I feel about that, because I get that it's like, I guess, more casual and makes the game more accessible. But the flip side of that is like, is the game more accessible when all of your enemies can run anything they want at any time? You know what I mean? Like if you're struggling to make money, you're not worried about like, oh, I'm sure glad I can buy gold armor off the flea market, because you're struggling to make money. But the guy that isn't struggling to make money, well, he's just buying gold armor on the flea market nonstop. So the people that kind of are like, well, it helps the casual players, I'm not wholly disagreeing, but I go, in what way? You know what I mean? Are you spending $3,000 a round on the good ammo? Because that guy is, you know what I mean? So now, just like I said with Arena Breakout, I have to see how it goes over the course of a season to really judge it. But I have to be honest and say I am a little disappointed with that. Oh yeah, and that's the thing. That's the other concern. Casual players with deep pockets. Exactly. Am I going to be able to buy currency and then ostensibly be able to buy anything I want in the game, right? These are the questions I have. So these are some of the cons. There's only 2 maps you can play right now, and the map design from a 10,000 foot view is awesome. Like POIs everywhere, good stuff. The map design on a micro view is awful, bro. The amount of times that you're like, surely I can just round this corner and then look down at this guy and flank. Like, there are almost no small flanks in this game. If you are taking a guy head on and you're like, I'm going to go around this thing, when you go around that thing, there's a wall, and then you go around that thing and there's a semi, and you go around the semi and there's a connex, and you go around the connex, and you're 40 light years away from your teammates. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of invisible walls that feel gross. You're like, ooh, I'm going to get up on this thing. And you just like, feels bad. So a lot of times where you want to make a play, you can't really, because the micro design of the maps like almost intentionally blocks off a lot of those plays. And it feels like it just kind of pushes you into just take the fight head on. That's really your only option. So there's that. The matchmaking, like I said, I have felt like every time I put on purple gear, the first POI we go to is the sweatiest team I've ever met in my life, and we die immediately. But then when we're like, let's do a pistol run, let's see how big of a come up we can get, it's bots. And I don't mean that ironically. There are bot PMCs.
Oh, okay. It says BT.
Yeah. So I don't really like the fact that it fills with bot PMCs as well. Once again,
yeah, like having a dead raid can be cool.
Yeah. And
sometimes.
And even like Deadly tweeted this, and it was like, I understand that they don't want, like, that they're trying to avoid dead raids, but there should just be like an extra faction of AI that only spawn when there's like a less. Like they could have taken some of that dynamic quest design or something and applied it to like a dynamic faction that spawns or something, because you're going to be fighting bots either way, but bots that look like players, you're just like, oh, I just shit on that 3-man. And then you go and you're like, oh, okay.
You can tell it
robs the experience a little bit. So, but yeah, the matchmaking, man, I can't figure it out. There's like a ranked mode and I don't really know what that means. And there's, yeah, it feels like gear based. It feels like the more gear we put on, the sweatier lobbies we're in, but then sometimes I feel like I'm watching like Sheaf or Landmark and they've got super good gear on and they're not finding anybody. So I can't really tell. I will tell you though, the last 2 games we played today, Valiant had to leave. So it was me and Geeks and we squad filled our 3rd guy because we wanted to just have the memes. 2 raids in a row, we got a bot as our teammate.
There's probably just not that many people playing.
And nobody was in the raid. Every team we fought were bot PMCs. The last raid, I killed 13 PMCs, and I don't think any of them were real people. It was weird. But when it was me, Geeks, and Valiant, literally 7 hours of the stream, I don't think I ran into a bot PMC. It was all real people, and it was like juiced, sweaty raids. Valiant left. We squad filled our 3rd guy, and I feel like we didn't find another real person for the rest of the day. It was super weird.
There probably are 2 classes of raids, like low tier and high tier, and everyone right now who's playing, and then there aren't that many people playing, they're all like mostly content creators or whatever.
Yeah.
Especially on that time of the day.
Yeah.
They're all playing the juicy ones. And then when you are in a 2-man with squad fill, it probably like by default puts you in the lower tier.
Yeah. And our bot, our bot would steal our loot. We would kill it and we would kill a PMC and he would just go loot it. And
take your shit?
Yes. And we were in the middle of a fight and our bot PMC extracted. He just left. He just extracted from the raid. He didn't die. He extracted.
Are you sure it was a bot?
We are almost positive.
How do you know though? Is it the way they play or is it their name or like, is there an icon?
Well, what's funny is, we're pretty positive they're putting TTV at the end of bot names a lot. In the Havoc mode, dude, it was crazy.
No chance. No chance. They're fucking no chance. That meme is don't let your memes be memes, boys, because
no, but like no mic, super body movement. They would just stand. The other, you know what the tell is? They'll get caught. They'll get behind a rock and they'll just shoot at a guy they were aggroed on, our teammate, for 30 minutes. And they never run out of ammo. Yeah. So it's like, you can tell.
No, dude, that's so fucking meta.
Now
that they have bots and they put TTV in the name.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
What I hope is that and this is what I was thinking as well. What I hope is that you're absolutely right. That like there are so few people playing relative to how many people want to play because they're just like releasing keys and waves. That the hope is when they release the game, if 100,000 people want to play, the lobbies where bots exist are significantly less. But I'm putting that in the con section because I'm not a huge fan of the bot PMCs. I would almost rather a dead raid or you just scale up the AI, make me match a little bit longer. I don't know.
All the PMCs having TTV in their name. Yeah, that sounds like another instance of stolen Tarkov assets.
Yeah. To kind of cap it off, what's nice though is that what this game has, I think, over Arena Breakout is crazy progression. There are like 5 or 6 like traders, and each of those traders have like 70 quests. So there's a lot of quests to do. The quests allow you to unlock barters for good guns or cases. And here's the thing that Arena Breakout didn't have. In this game, there are cases, like med cases, ammo cases, item cases, but they're unbelievably expensive. And they're not physical cases you put in your inventory. They're tabs. So you just click a tab and this is my med case. And you can get like a small med case, a medium med case, a big med case, and the big med case.
So they're just stash expansions.
Essentially. But
on your character or just in your stash?
Just in your stash. Yeah.
Okay.
And every time you like in the hideout, you can increase your stash size, like in Tarkov. Every time you increase your stash size, you get another case tab. So the tabs, so there's a ton. So this is one of the things they get right which is that in an extraction shooter, 50% of the enjoyment is PvP and like combat. 50% of the enjoyment, and so many devs don't understand this, is fucking hoarding the loot. Like people that play extraction shooters are loot goblins. I extraction shooter games with tiny stashes and no way to expand it piss me off. I'm like, I don't want to sell anything. I want to keep it all. That's the game I'm playing. I want to keep my stuff. And so
kind of misses the point.
The fact that you can literally expand your actual stash space and add tabs, and those tabs are crates, and those crates are like expensive, uber expensive, uber expensive, unbelievably expensive. It's just like, it's a ton of progression, a ton of things like the economy.
Or a $3.99 fucking microtransaction.
Dude, I know that you are right. That is going to come into the game, and it's going to ruin it. It's going to ruin it. People are going to buy all the expansions, but all I can judge is what I have right now, but you're so goddamn right, and I'm so sad. So there's lots of progression, there's lots of cases, and the higher roller lobbies, I always thought, I don't think Tarkov should do it. Like, but I think it was one of the things where when I saw that in Arena Breakout, I was like, damn, that makes sense. Higher loot, but a gear requirement, and it helps separate the chads and the casuals. Like, both people can have fun, because if you're playing the game for PvP or you're playing the game for loot, you rise to the top. You want to play the higher roller lobbies. And if you're more casual, like, it just, like, I saw it in Arena Breakout and I was like, that feels like it works. And I feel like it works in this game as well. Actually, I haven't been able to queue into a high roller lobby, but that's because I don't think enough people are playing in the high roller lobbies. But I like it. So, so yeah, I don't know, man. That's it. That's the TLDR. I just think the game is fun. The response to the game is pretty much exactly what you want. What I didn't have on my bingo card is people being mad that a game is a carbon copy of Arena Breakout. Because every actual second I was playing Arena Breakout, I was just getting mauled at that I could play a game that was just a carbon copy of Tarkov. And there was the whole...
Sounds like a Marauders clone, except modern day style.
Yeah, except, dude. And then there was all the stolen assets. And then people come in the chat and they're like, this is literally, they ripped off Arena Breakout. And I'm like, I want to pull my eyeballs out.
They all had kappas. They all had to have kappas at the end of their messages, right?
Yeah, they did.
Slash S,
yeah.
like... Oh my Lord.
And it's funny because this game, because it has a little bit of everything, people are like, this is just Battlefield, but with loot. This is just Call of Duty, but with this. This is just Arena Breakout. Is this another... And which is fine. I think it's funny. But it's like, I don't know, man.
This is just Tarkov, but well designed.
Yeah, I like it. I like it for what it is. I don't know. I almost feel like because Tarkov is so hardcore, I appreciate the arcadey aspect of it, right? Like, yeah, it just feels like something I needed. I really think that most people that play Tarkov that haven't gotten to the point where they like play Tarkov but don't like Tarkov, like they won't like this, and that's okay. But I think that this sits on the spectrum of extraction shooter games, and I think it's really fun. I'm concerned they're going to monetize the shit out of it and it's going to ruin it. I am concerned about that, but I don't know, man. It's just fun.
Yeah, it looks like some folks. So I mean, that is an interesting point in that it seems like people are saying they're the same developers. No,
they're both published by Tencent, but Tencent owns 70% of the gaming sphere. It's two completely different game developers.
Why does Pepsi have Dasani and like whatever? It's like because they just own all the like liquid beverage companies.
Exactly. It's like A24 already made a horror movie. This horror movie's an A24 movie. It's like they're just distributing it. Like,
what's the point of even having publishers when you have Steam? To me, that seems like it seems like record labels.
Yeah,
like I could have a record label, except they would take probably half of my revenue, whereas I distribute on DistroKid and it goes on all the platforms, and I pay $5 a year, and I keep literally everything I make.
Yeah.
So it's like, why even go?
I don't know.
It's China, maybe. I don't know, dude.
But yeah, so
I don't know how
they
this
are
shit
both
works.
published by Tencent, but I doubt Tencent had a hand in the development. An interesting
Tencent was my. Never mind. Some stupid rapper joke. My favorite rapper.
An interesting tidbit about their anti-cheat is they talked about, you described to me one day that in Valorant's anti-cheat, they do something where it's like some sort of fog of war, where like if a guy is too far away, even if you're like your client genuinely doesn't know where they are.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you can think of conceptual fog of war
Yeah.
in that the game knows that like you're looking at this part of the wall, and the person. So based on the angle you're looking, we're not even going to send your client the enemy information until that angle gets small enough so that a wall hack can't just read the memory.
They talked about they did something like that for this game. They did a video about their anti-cheat, and they built that into this game too. Something similar to that. So, so I don't know. I mean, it's free to play, so the assumption is that cheating is going to be pretty bad. But I found that interesting that they they built that pseudo fog of war thing into this game as well, which is kind of cool.
Stolen working.
Yeah,
anti-cheat.
dude. But yeah, man, it's been fun. You know what I mean? Like I will say from a mental health perspective, this has been the best new game I've played in the terms of like, I knew that a subset, 99% of chat, literal rock stars. There's always, you know, I played Arena even, and everyone was like, oh my God, you gave up on Tarkov. You know, there's always that subset of people. And so I've done a more effective job than ever at just like letting those people, whatever, vent and not let it bother me. But I will say that some of the messages are just like crazy. You know, you get everything from like, this game is going to die upon release. Like, sure, maybe it will. I don't know. To like I just find people are like, are you gonna say this game is amazing and then stop playing like you said with Gray Zone and Arena Breakout? And I'm just like, what? Like where? I don't like some of the messages. There's just like so many layers of made up stuff. Like in order to say what they said, they had to make up a version of reality, assume that was true, and then think if that made up version of reality was happening, this would happen. And if this happened, how could you do this? And then what they message is like 3 made up realities deep. It's like, my opinion on Gray Zone and Arena Breakout has been very consistent the whole time. It was never that I thought they were perfect games or that they were going to be Tarkov killers. I don't think any game is going to kill Tarkov. I don't even think about games that way. It's like you have to unravel like 11 layers. It's super fascinating psychologically.
That assumes they would. Well, you're assuming a particular level of depth of thought here that is probably not warranted. Like
True.
Let me give you an interpretation that might not be super unreasonable, and it is. Jesse said he liked the game a bunch and he's enjoying it.
Yeah.
I didn't, which you said when you were playing those games. I'm having a lot of fun with it right now.
Yes.
Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And so they hear that you like this game, and what they extrapolate from that is like, oh, this very well could be like a game he plays for the next X months.
Yeah.
Maybe he mains it or whatever. And then they come back and, you know, a week later without hearing anything else. They don't listen to the podcasts or whatever. They see 20 minutes of another stream and they come back and you're totally done past it, not talking about it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I'm in no way defending them.
No. Yeah.
I guess I'm just.
You're saying even me breaking down their logic is giving them too much.
Well, what they're saying echoes, I think, a feeling that I have as a content creator and a gamer, which is like, people sometimes want to live vicariously through the streamer, right? There's a world in which you and a bunch of other people latch onto this new game and it becomes the new game that everybody's playing.
Yeah.
And then that's cool for them because now they can get excited and invest the time.
Yeah.
Because no one wants. So I think what people are actually saying, what they're saying without saying it is, man, I want you to get invested in something so I can get invested in it too.
Yes.
And it looks like you're dipping your toes in and maybe getting invested. So people are like, ah, and then, you know, so it's almost like you're constantly.
And so unbeknownst to them, even, they feel like I've blue balled them 2 or 3 times. You played Arena Breakout, you played Gray Zone, and then so then they come in with like frustration. They're like, oh my God, you're just going to say you love this like all the other games and then go back to Tarkov. That's an interesting thought.
I've got a couple of friends, dude,
that's an interesting thought, actually.
They're quote unquote serial entrepreneurs. They're always posting on Facebook about this new business thing that they're starting. Yeah. They start this thing. They got this little thing they're selling stuff out of. Oh, they're going, you know, and doing consulting with this thing. Yeah. And it's just people who kind of can't figure out what the fuck they're doing and nothing was really working for them. They're all over the place. So then one day when they're like, oh my God, this new thing, it's my new thing. I fucking love it. I'm doing like in-home fucking tanning. Let me come and do a spray on thing. It's a portable boot. It's like, and all you're thinking is this, you're going to be done with this.
Yeah.
Like I can't get excited about you being excited because you're going to be over it in a week or two.
Yes.
So maybe that's the sentiment that they're feeling.
Dude, I wouldn't have expected Veritas to be pulling out the empathy card with the brain dead Twitch chatters, but you're kind of not wrong. You're kind of not wrong.
No, what I was doing is saying you're assuming they have at least a triple-digit IQ.
Yeah.
And they probably just aren't thinking about it. I mean, obviously, I'm memeing now, but I don't know. Like, that's just the way I feel now too.
But that is also indicative of an interesting conversation to have around how we view like games, and because that's a result of me niching down into one game, right? I've got 9,000 hours of stream time, 8,500 hours of them is one game. And so as a result of that, I get viewed as this guy. And so, you know, these games are maybe a threat or whatever, but we view games really interestingly now. And I was actually thinking about this today. You know, we've had the conversation before. And so this kind of is a launching into another conversation. We've had the conversation before about like, it's harder than ever to get people to play a new game long term because there's the sunk cost fallacy of like, I have all these achievements and these ranks in this game. And then you multiply that times 4 because we play games really socially. And so to get a whole group of people to displace and play a new game is really hard to do. And that's also because games are engineered now more than ever for quadruple digit playtime. Like back in the day when you played a game for like 20 hours and you felt like that was a long game, the thirst was for the next game.
Yeah.
What's the next game? The squad is going to play. But now games are engineered from second one to be like, do you see all this? If you play for 9,000 hours, this could all be yours. And so at 6,000 hours, if a new game comes out, it has to be the best shit ever to convince me to start at 0 hours and grind up to 9,000 hours in that game, right?
Yeah.
And then that's done some interestingly twisted stuff to our brains. So I posted what I genuinely thought, and dude, if you responded to this tweet, and you're listening to this, you're not going to believe me. I genuinely thought this was hilarious. I meant no malice or no ill will at all. BSG posted their tweet that they wiped people's accounts on accident, right? I quote tweeted it and tagged Delta Force and said, perfect time to release some more keys, huh? Like, LOL. You know what I mean? And some of the comments were like, crazy.
They're your latitude, longitude with like a picture of a gun.
Yeah. Like somebody was telling me about how like they were disappointed to see me perpetuate this dev v dev fighting.
Oh, I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. Anybody that says they're disappointed Get off your fucking
Yeah.
high horse, you clown.
What?
Oh, so pompous and douchey. I'm disappointed and shut the fuck up. No one cares. Who are you? You're not my dad. He's the only person I care about disappointing. Who are you? I don't even know your first name.
It's true.
Fuck off.
But even beyond that, even beyond everything you said, it's like, why do you, first of all, I don't think my tweet was promoting dev versus dev fighting. Secondly, neither of those devs know your first name or know you or care about you individually. Like, they're literally all trying to monetize the shit out of you at any given time. So why do you care? And I genuinely thought it was funny, dude. And then somebody responded. This was what got me. It was fascinating. Imagine a game giving you name recognition and then being as loyal as this guy right here. And I think that word loyal really made it click for me, because then I started thinking about this conversation. That's how we think. That, not we, you and me, but the collective we. We've interacted with enough people in our Twitch chats. That is how we think about games now. It used to be, what's the new game? It used to be like this battle between Halo and Battlefield and Call of Duty. And whichever one was better, we were playing that. I wasn't loyal to Halo. Whichever one was better, that's what the squad was playing, but something's changed. Like, the fact that I was playing and tweeting about another game, to this guy that tweeted, was a betrayal. And I was like, man, what has happened in the past 10 years? That word loyalty just really clicked. That, like, I felt like that was a good word for a lot of the people in chat, or a lot of the people in Twitter mentions, or a lot of the people in other people's chat, like even Landmark's chat or Glorious' chat when they're playing this game. The vibe, I just was like, man, that's the word. The people feel like you owe a loyalty to a video game. And I found it so fat. I didn't even respond to the comment. Maybe that guy's having a bad day, but I found that when I read that, it just clicked, and I was like, wow, this is it. It's so weird. It's so weird.
He's a streamer too. Man, fucking A, dude. Like,
I just find that to be super fascinating. That's
like a kind of just an unhealthy way of looking at shit, dude. Like,
yeah.
Like, there's an argument to be made. I haven't done the calculus on this, but you've done more for
yeah.
You probably have done quantifiably more for Tarkov and the community overall than you've gotten out of it. You've given more than you've gotten.
Yeah.
Think about how many hundreds of thousands, millions of views on all of your shit, how many people, how many copies of the game that's resulted in selling, how many upgrades of the game, how much people have come back and played, how many thousands of hours of enjoyment people have got as a direct result of you. And you're supposed to be loyal because you chose to promote someone else's product that you bought.
Yeah.
And you got popular for it.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah. No. And like, and that
BSG didn't pay you to play the game.
Yeah.
You weren't an employee of BSG.
But that's the thing. I was paid to play the game. But not by BSG, but to these people that, like, because that's what he said. He said, imagine a game giving you name recognition, because like it's such a, once again, I'm not mad. It's such a fascinating thing. I spent 6 years of my life, countless hours, even back in the day when I was working, I worked. BSG did not give me anything, but that is how it's perceived. I put 10,000, literally, I've played this game for 8,000 hours and I've probably put that many hours into YouTube, short form content, admin stuff. So I've put 16,000 hours of work. But the perception is Battlestate Games bestowed unto me a reputation and a channel.
They gave you your channel, dude.
It's super fascinating. It's super fascinating to think that way.
Fascinating. It's not fascinating. Is the word that you're using that isn't the word
it's
that you
not
want
the
to
word.
use.
It's super messed up, but it's
fucking weird.
It is on some level fascinating.
You're fucking weird, bro, for saying that.
And so it really is like, I don't know. I was going somewhere with that, but it's just a weird change. Oh, and what I find interesting is I don't want to say to everybody, because it's one of those things where it's like, these people complain, and then if a change happens, these people are happy, but these people complain. And it's really easy to say everybody complains all the time, when in reality, it's different people complaining. So I don't want to make a sweeping statement like that. But what I find interesting is that he could say that on the heels of BSG. Like, where was BSG's loyalty to me when they asked for $100 for DLC that, you know, I was supposed to get? Like, I didn't get as upset about that as a lot of people did, but that's crazy that we're still just a few months away, few months after BSG just completely attempted, and to a certain degree successfully, fist their entire player base. And I wasn't like, you know, I could have tweeted, imagine me giving this game all those sales, and then this is their loyalty, right? It just it doesn't go both ways to these people, and it's fast.
Imagine us making Nikita and whoever's our head honchos at BSG, making them fucking millionaires.
Yeah.
While thousands of content creators sit here, promote their game, and get paid less than minimum wage.
Yeah.
Wow, imagine.
Yeah.
That argument is way more compelling than what anyone would say on the fucking flip side, and I wouldn't make that argument.
Exactly.
Because BSG doesn't owe us anything other than what we paid for.
Exactly.
We don't owe anything to fucking BSG for making us, because our content is what made us. BSG was just the... Imagine fucking McDonald's not being loyal to the wheat manufacturer that makes their buns.
Yeah.
It's a function of our product.
Yeah.
They are the raw input, okay? We make the output.
Yes.
They are an ingredient.
Exactly. Like you said, the argument is almost more compelling the opposite direction, and it's not an argument I would make because I don't feel like BSG owes me anything other than what I paid for. Like that was bars. That whole thing you just said was just bars. Because but I read stuff like that, or I see it in the chat, and I know a lot of it is just directed towards like streamer and the streamer culture, and I get it. You know what I mean? It is kind of weird what we do, and seeing people play video games for a living. And I know that we're a real community, the community and the threat, like you said, if this game gets popular, I put all this time into this game, and so I feel like that was a waste of time if this new game comes around and gets popular. So there's a lot to it, but there was just like a new layer peeled back for me today when I read some of that, and that word loyalty, I was like, man, it really does feel like people think that way. They think that we should be loyal to a game, and that even makes that you can spread that out to even like big corporations. People feel like you have to be loyal, and it's crazy because that argument very rarely goes in reverse. You know what I mean? So
fucking loyal, holy shit! Those people like move to North Korea if you want to be loyal, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't do that.
Unquestioning fucking loyalty sounds like
don't do that.
Unquestioning, never-ending loyalty. Fuck me, dude.
Yeah. So that was just some interesting tidbits I've been pulling out of the conversation that happens whenever I play another game. But I'm not even like, once again, I'm not even mad at the individual people anymore. We rarely ever talk to them in chat. Like, we just, you know, my response is just, I just feel bad at this point. I full circled. For a long time, I would really get upset in chat, and I would really feel like I had to defend and talk to everybody and like flesh it out. But I'm at the point where I just feel bad that you feel this passionately in a negative way around video games. It's like, all I want as a content creator is that you are having fun playing games you're playing. And I want to play games I find fun because I feel like that's when I make the best content. So if, like, I don't know, it's just interesting. And at that point, I've just circled around to like, I don't know, go away. Like, go play the game you want to play, or I'll be back on Tarkov in a little bit if you want to see me on Tarkov. Like, I don't know.
Like, I mean, that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say what I think. I'm not gonna say what I think because the guy's Twitter has TTV in his name. Maybe he's an up and coming streamer. Maybe not. I don't know, but he might have a different perspective if things had gone differently for him. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, interesting. But I mean, ultimately, that's the stuff. I say all that to say, really, that really was such a small part of this week. Like the chat reaction or the Twitter reactions. They're always fun to talk about on the podcast because I just love breaking them down with you. But overall, man, Delta Force has been fun, and fun at a perfect time. Would I be playing this if Tarkov wiped a week ago? Absolutely not. I love Tarkov. Tarkov is my game. I'm super excited to continue to play Tarkov. But like, we are, I think, 3 days away from the longest wipe in history. It's my 11th wipe. Like, this is the perfect time to just like play a free-to-play game and have fun. And I hope more people.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fucking sellout,
yeah,
disloyal.
If you, I hope people can continue to get access. I don't know how long the alpha is going to be. It's interesting because then Arena Breakout announced that their early access is starting on August 13th, which is crazy because like the wipe is going to be a matter of days after that, most likely. So that's ballsy of them to do that. But hey, man, if you're an extraction shooter fan, there's a lot going on right now. Arena Breakout's going into early access, so it's like just going to be up. You know what I mean? Forever. Tarkov's about to wipe. Delta Force is on the scene. Gray Zone's doing a patch. I'm looking at it all positively. I think more games is more better. And if you don't like any one of them, then play the ones you like. I mean, that's it for me. I don't know. But
amen.
That's the stuff. You guys are the best. Thank you for hanging. If you want to hear even more unhinged rants on life and psychology and the psychology of weird people, you should check out the Patreon, patreon.com/thepogcastpod, where you can get early ad-free access to these episodes and an extra, even an extra 1 hour episode recorded every week. So go check that out. Thank you guys for hanging. Thanks for consuming the content and enjoying it. And we'll definitely see y'all on the next one.
Stay loyal.